With Darrell's sudden cardiac arrest, did he have any symptoms?
His father was really in charge of all of the basketball activities. And so he was at every practice, every game, and he noticed the shortness of breath or Darrell's chest. He said that he would see it moving and he'll look at him like, yo, you okay? You all right? And Darrell like, yeah, I just, I need to catch my breath and we'll get back out there. I believe that Darrell's talent of the game overshadowed any of his weaknesses. Especially to coaches, just get them juiced up and back in the game, give them the ball, and he pushed through because he was being counted on and he was a warrior, and but yeah. Darrell mentioned to his father, why do you think my endurance is going down? And his father said, maybe it's just your diet. He had a horrible diet. Horrible. He ate hot fries and ice cream and nachos and junk, and that's what he thought. Nobody would, thought for 1 second that it was heart disease.
So the day that it happened, or before we get to that, did you know much about sudden cardiac arrest?
Nothing. Not nothing at all. I do recall like a year before he passed, I was cleaning the house and I was watching the news or overhearing the news. No, I wasn't even watching. I don't watch the news, but the news story caught my attention. It was a young guy in college who experienced sudden cardiac death, sudden death on a football field. And I just remember thinking, I was like, he probably was overheated. I remember distinctly looking and seeing it and having it in my memory. That's it. That's all I had. Nothing.
So did his incident happen on the basketball court or?
No, Darrell had just completed tryouts. He was trying out for a very elite basketball team for his age group here called the Eagles. And he put on a show, girl. He put on a show. He gave them the business. They only played half court, and he didn't miss a shot. All his friends said that he was on fire. They had never seen him play so well. And after practice, he, went in the huddle. He was laughing, playing, hit his coach in the head. And afterwards, he told his dad, my stomach hurt, which now we know is a symptom of sudden cardiac arrest. Prior to the actual event taking place, you can have stomach ache. And they got in the car. Darrell walked himself into the car, and his father got on the phone talking to a friend. He said 2 minutes later, he noticed that Darrell was unresponsive, or his head was like hanging down, and he heard some noises, breathing noises, he said. And he started calling his name, and he was unresponsive.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did he call the ambulance?
So he's on a dark road where nothing is at to really stop and get help on that road. And he was fearful of stopping and, not having help around and trying to drive. But he drove to the nearest gas station and flagged down a cop. And they checked for a pulse. They really didn't feel one. They got him out the car. They called the ambulance, and his father started CPR. By this time, Darrell had saliva like around his mouth, and we believe that the officer was a little scared to do mouth to mouth or CPR because of the fluids. And so his father started, and he has never been trained on CPR, but he started. Then the cop took over, and within that time, from the time they got to the Quick Trip, they said it was about 5 to 6 minutes before the paramedics showed up. And from the time they left the basketball practice to that, about 12 minutes. As we all know now, you have 2 minutes to start CPR. By 5 minutes, all the major organs begin to shut down, and it's irreversible. So Darrel was gone probably before they even got to the quick trip. When the paramedics arrived, they immediately, started CPR, pumping him with adrenaline. They shocked him. And the reports from the hospitals shows that he his eyes were fixed and dilated before they administered any medicine. He was gone. He had no heartbeat. He was gone.
Wow.
But they worked on him for 45 minutes and tried to revive him. No idea. I need people to know that a healthy 13-year-old athlete can drop dead from things that, and a lot of times, from my studies, that sometimes, most times, there are no symptoms. The symptom is the cardiac arrest itself, so just being knowledgeable about so many things. I'm encouraging parents to, if they can't get their doctors to get them an echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of the heart to diagnose hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, what Darrel died from.
Had Darrel ever had any of that testing done? Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's not required in physicals, So he looked healthy to me. He was killing them on a court. He was fast. I didn't see any decline. He didn't say anything to me. I had no idea.
Right.
Nope.
Right. Wow. Such a beautiful young boy, 13 years old.
He was everything. And we talk about, prevention, statistics, the disease itself. We have CPR classes, free CPR classes on hand for people to get training in that. I was doing free monthly CPR classes, but I didn't have a good turnout. People were signing up, but they weren't coming in. I think because it was free and they had no accountability to it. Yeah, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to come to them and do that.
And hopefully things like these videos, that's the goal of the videos, is to be able to show them, because that's what I say, because here in Texas now, the EKG is optional. People can get it even if they don't show signs and symptoms. But if we're not giving them the facts and raising awareness to where they are understanding how many children this is happening to, then they're not going to take the action. And the same with the CPR. People have this mentality of, oh, I see it over there, but it's not going to happen to me. So once they understand that this does not have any discrimination and it can attack anybody at any time, and if we could go back in time to protect our children and to protect ourselves from this pain that we're experiencing, we would do it in a heartbeat.
I hope that these videos really touch home for people. Like you said, Black, white, Asian, small, big, fat, athlete, non-athlete can have this disease. It doesn't matter,
Right.
It did hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, the thickening of the heart. His heart was 2 times the size of what it should have been, and it wasn't able to pump blood properly to the rest of his organ. So heart disease can look like asthma easily because the blood is not going to the proper organs and functioning properly. So it's the lungs aren't receiving as much oxygen and what it needs. So everything is working harder. And so that's where the shortness of breath comes in. So you have to be extremely mindful of everything. And the only way to truly know is to know. So you have to advocate. You have to advocate and get what you want.
And I'm so glad to get to know him through you. Yeah. And to get to know you, because together I feel like we can impact a lot of lives,
We will.
I think, yes.
I think we have already, because, at my events, when I advocate, I tell them, now go and tell everybody what I share with you today, and tell them to tell everybody they know. Let's get this message out, be mindful. This is a silent killer. You can't play it, you know. And once you have a little knowledge, you get the asking questions, you get into it, you figure it out, you find out, and don't let it sneak up on you. Because I think that would be the most horrible thing, to have heard a message like this and saw a video like this and never had asked any questions, and something happens to your baby. You know,
Right.
you're accountable at that point. We had nothing, and this is why we are going above and beyond on our off days through our grief,
Yeah,
to raise awareness. And we just, you know, really hope that you take heed and make moves and overcome. Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing with us and for joining us here on Healing Hearts. And we'll probably have a follow-up conversation soon. I love
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Until
All
next
right.
time. See you
Okay.
later.